Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Workforce Wednesday of the 2021-2022 school year. My name is Zach Gobert, and I'm with the Kentucky Chamber of Commerce Workforce Center, working as a project manager and helping to run our Bus to Business program. I would like to thank our sponsors, the Kentucky Society for Human Resource Management, or KY-SHRM, and KCTCS for their investment in helping to bring students' classrooms to careers. We will be hearing from some folks at KCTCS at the end of today's session, so please be sure to stick around. In addition to our virtual live sessions, weekly e-news, and critical job of the week graphics, this year we have launched 3 contests for students to participate in throughout the school year. Students in kindergarten through 5th grade are invited to download or request a printed copy of our newly released Bus to Business coloring book. This coloring book highlights critical jobs in different industries, including construction, healthcare, equine, and manufacturing. Each month, students will be invited to submit their completed responses online, and selected winners will be featured on social media and win a pizza party for their classroom. For the month of December, please color the business services page on page 9 and submit your entry using the links in the chat. Middle school students in grades 6 through 8 are invited to participate in monthly contests, encouraging them to learn more about jobs in different industries. Students can write a paper, video, or presentation about an industry-specific job of their choice. Winners will be recognized on social media and the Bus to Business website, and will be invited to join a special Zoom call with a leading Kentucky public official at the end of the school year. For the month of November and December, please submit the business services industry for your job submissions. And last but not least, for high school students, which many of you all are tuning in live with us today, we have a special contest for grades 9 through 12 in which you can win a $500 prize. To be eligible to win this prize, students must interview a community member who currently or formerly holds a job that they find interesting. Following the interview, students will record and submit a short video of 5 minutes or less discussing what they learned and what are the next steps to prepare for that job. Winners will be announced each month, and for the month of December, all entries should focus on the business services industry. All of this information, including links to turn in submissions, can be found at kychamber.com/bus-to-business. This session is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube, and if you're one of the 100 plus students tuning in live with us today, or students joining in virtually afterwards, we hope you get something out of today's session and learn more about a job that might be interesting to you. Today, we'll be hearing from a panel with the Kentucky Department of Education Office of Career and Technical Education. I will be monitoring the chat for any questions or ideas, and I will lead a question and answer session at the end. I will now kick it over to Brandon and Kayla from KDE to talk more about careers in education. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Zach. It's a pleasure to be with all of you all today, whether you're watching live or recorded. And Ms. Godby and I are going to take a little time with you today to talk about agricultural education and family and consumer sciences education and the opportunities to become teachers in those 2 areas, as well as a little bit more about career and technical education. Quickly, I'll introduce myself. I'm Brandon Davis. I'm the program consultant, one of the 3 program consultants for agricultural education in the Department of Education. I also serve as the Kentucky FFA State Advisor. Ms. Godby.
Good morning. My name is Kayla Godby, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Family and Consumer Sciences Program Consultant, along with Risa Carver as our Kentucky FCCLA State Advisor. I also have the opportunity to serve as the chair of the Kentucky FCCLA State Advisory Board, and we're so glad to be with you guys today.
Thank you, Ms. Godby. Well, I've got a presentation, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll go through this and talk about it. So I think one of the first things that obviously today is the 1st of December, which is, I guess even more so now, it feels a little more like the holidays are upon us now that it's December. But one thing that you probably don't know about today is that today is National Eat a Red Apple Day, which is very appropriate considering that the red apple has been a symbol of teachers and education for a long time. The old adage about bringing an apple to your teacher goes back, I don't even know how long it goes back, but also there are awards given at different levels in education that refer to the apple. So we thought it was very appropriate to use this as a kickoff for us today. One thing you may not know is there are about 7,500 different varieties of apples. Lots of people just think red apple, green apple, maybe yellow apple, but there's a whole lot more than just those 3 ways to categorize. And I've got up on the screen the 25 most popular red apples. And if you look at that list, there's probably some that you recognize. there's probably some that you've never heard of before. And I know that's how I was when I was working on this as well. We share that simply in the fact of when we think about education, when we think about teachers, it's easy to kind of think about teachers as one large group. But when you start to think about the grade levels that are taught, when you think about the subject matter that is being taught, there's a lot of these different groups, and each has its own special qualities and characteristics, just like every variety of apple out there has specific characteristics that have been chosen over time to make sure that it's the most effective for its use. So as we go into this, we know that there are teachers that start in the preschool and the kindergarten area, go through the elementary school, middle school, high school, then teach a wide range of subjects. For us, we're going to be just a little more specific, just like picking these few varieties of red apples, and talk about career and technical education, and specifically our two areas that we work in.
So we want you to know that career and technical education, or CTE for short, is a critical component in meeting the needs of students in academic achievement, career exploration, career preparation, and the cherry on top, leadership development. The goal of CTE is to give students foundational skills at the middle school and the high school level. Students have the opportunity to take a sequence of courses in a career pathway, experience hands-on training through work-based learning, earn an industry certification, and sharpen their leadership skills in a career and technical student organization. There are 12 CTE program areas represented in Kentucky. On this slide, you will see a list of all the different areas. Students explore a pathway in one of these program areas by taking at least one course to see if they're interested, and then hopefully they will dive deeper and take 3 to 4 courses within one of these pathways. It's a great opportunity for students to make a well-informed career decision. If you are a middle school or high school student watching this today, you may very well be sitting in a CTE course this very minute. We are so glad that you're with us today. Brandon and I represent agricultural education and family and consumer sciences education, and both of us are products of these two program areas. And now we have the opportunity to support Kentucky teachers and students in our respective areas. We are both very passionate about our program areas, and it's as sweet as apple pie for us to be able to be with you today.
Oh, thank you so much, Kayla. And one thing that we want to make very clear is there is a desperate need, and will continue to be a desperate need, for teachers. When we talk about apples a little bit more, it takes 50 leaves on a tree to produce enough energy to bring enough from photosynthesis, that glucose that's needed to be able to produce one apple. And if you think about from preschool, kindergarten, all the way to high school, you'll probably have as a student somewhere between 40 to 50 different teachers, depending on the size of the school that you attend. So we need all of those people. We need a lot of high quality individuals that are willing to educate the next generation. For the next 5 years, it's estimated that there will be over 2,300 openings in career and technical education in Kentucky. That means that for those of you that may be seniors, that by the time you graduate high school, and if you go to college to become a teacher, we're going to need you to hop right in and start teaching the students that are right now that may be in elementary or middle school. So definitely there's a huge need, and we want to make sure we spend some time to explain to you what a teacher does specifically within our two program areas. So within agricultural education, which in short we call ag ed sometimes, there's 302 teachers in the state. They're in 178 programs. The bulk of those are in high schools, 154. But the largest growing piece of ag ed in Kentucky right now is middle school. We look at 5, 6, 7 years ago, we had less than 10 middle school programs, but we've seen huge growth. And so it's been awesome to have some new teachers that have come in and started teaching at the middle school to really get students excited about career opportunities, not only in agriculture, but in other areas of CTE as well. Now, within the ag ed world, we talk about a 3-circle model, and you know what a Venn diagram is, where when things overlap, there's commonality. So we focus on, in ag ed, 3 circles: the classroom laboratory piece, which is what you think about probably in a typical stance with a teacher coming into a classroom, learning, doing some laboratory work, whatever it may be. There's supervised ag experience, which is the same as work-based learning. That's just kind of the vernacular, the terminology that we use in agriculture. And then there's the leadership component, which is often what comes from the National FFA organization, but also groups like the Junior Manners Program. And there's some other groups that are agriculture-related leadership, some in the post-secondary level that provide some of that as well. So within Ag Ed, there are 6 career pathways that a student can engage in. That goes from agribusiness, then agriculture structures, power structures and technical systems, which is more of the building things, working on engines, welding, metalwork types of things. Animal science systems, which is the most popular in Kentucky because everyone loves animals typically, so they want to take classes related to that. Environmental science, natural resources for people that may have an interest in ecology and things related to the environment. Also, we have people that are interested in wildlife management that fall into that area. Food science and processing, which is one of the very much up and coming pieces, the scientific portion about food creation and preservation, and then horticulture and plant science. If you've been in an agriculture classroom or there's one at your school, you know that this is more than just students coming in and sitting in a classroom. They're learning content, then they're going into the ag mechanics laboratory or to the greenhouse or out somewhere else to actually apply what they've learned. And so that's one of the main thing, the biggest thing that an ag teacher does is that they're spending time educating their students about one or more of these pathways in their program. Now, after that's work-based learning, which I said we call supervised ag experience in ag, but it's the same. It's the fact of the matter is that in order for a student really to be prepared for what happens after high school, they need to actually get some work experience, and career and technical education does a wonderful job of that. A few things in agriculture that we have to think about for a teacher to be doing is they work with students to determine what does that student want to do in the future after high school, what kind of career opportunities are they looking at, what type of skills do they want to develop, and they help that student figure out what type of work-based learning would best suit them at this point in time. Now, some examples are we have placement, which is where a student will work for somebody else. So this could be someone working at a place like a tractor supply company or working for a veterinarian. Then you also have entrepreneurship, where a student has the plan and the resources to be able to start their own business, whether that be in agriculture, it could be a lawn mowing company, doing floor design, doing cutting wood and selling it, anything along those lines. A lot of our high schools have greenhouses that have agricultural education programs. So school-based enterprises are very popular just because it gives any student, they don't have to have access to any type of resource. They can actually go in there and get that experience of how to care for plants, how to keep inventory, how to work with customers, and a host of other great experiences. Service learning is a lot like community service, and the fact that students figure out what is a need within their community, and then how can they help to address that need and be supportive of the community. And then last is some students really enjoy research. They want to take a topic and they want to learn more about it. Think kind of like a science fair idea where they can really hone in on something that they want to know more about or they want to solve a problem, and they'll do research and be able to present that on opportunities. So that's a little bit about the work-based learning piece. But the fact is that a teacher is all about helping those students to identify their needs, what they want to do, and match them up with the right employer, with the right person, with the right resources that can help them have a quality experience so that when they graduate, they're going to be able to really be prepared to either enter a career or enter into whatever the next step is for them in the world of getting a degree, a certificate, what have you, to be ready to enter the workforce at a later date. Now, the leadership component that most people associate with agricultural education is FFA. And some of you may be members or you know someone that is a member. In an FFA, there basically are 3 big buckets that we talk about that our work focuses in on. That's premier leadership. So an agriculture teacher will work with their students to help them develop leadership skills, to be able to work in a team setting, to be able to speak professionally, to be able to do those things that are needed by anyone after high school, just to be someone that can be an advocate, that can state their facts or opinions that they have and state the facts related to it. So teachers will, during the summertime, we have the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training Center in Hardinsburg, Kentucky, where teachers will bring a group of their members for a week to learn about different pieces of leadership and to work with other chapters to improve those skills. There's the state and national FFA conventions that are held, as well as a host of other conferences where a student can really develop their self in the leadership area. Then personal growth is just giving the students opportunity to grow mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it is, to help them become a better person, to be able to really go from being a freshman when they're in high school or even in the middle school to maturing up to be able to have the skill sets needed to really have that growth and maturity that we're looking for. And the picture I've shared are the 3 individuals that were named the Kentucky FFA State Stars this in June of 2021. Each of these individuals started 4 years ago with a project and a plan, and they've developed over time, and they're a great example of personal growth. And lastly is career success, which is the goal for all of us, is always to make sure any student, is ready to pursue whatever their dream is, to be able to do that in a way that will bring them not only the needs monetarily speaking, but also just the satisfaction of a career that they're truly passionate about. And we've got a number of individuals that are in leadership, both in the government, in agriculture, and education, in different realms, that are products of FFA, and they attribute their success partially to the things that they learned while they were a member of the organization. So as an advisor, this is one of the most rewarding parts as a teacher, being that FFA advisor and helping those students and watching them develop. They can compete in contests. You get to see them display their skills and to really be able to engage and to learn and to be just to actually see how much they've grown over time. That's one of the best parts of being a teacher that we really love. So that's a nutshell, I would really say, or maybe I should say in an apple shell, which is not a thing, but you get the idea. There's 5 places that in Kentucky where you can get a degree in agricultural education. Eastern Kentucky University, Morehead State, Murray State, the University of Kentucky, and Western Kentucky University. All of these have programs. So based on, I hope if you're looking at this, give them all a look, figure out which one's the best match for you, and definitely pursue that. If you want to know more about being an ag teacher or anything related to that, there's a QR code on the screen. If you don't have time to capture that or to scan that, you can also search the National Teach Ag campaign, which is hosted by the National Association of Agricultural Educators. There's lots of resources for people that are thinking about being a teacher that want to know more. So you should definitely look into that, get more information. It will definitely help you out. So for me, in closing, there's a part of the Ag Teacher's Creed that starts off as I'm an ag teacher by choice and not by chance. And I really that echoes true through all of education, is that when you choose to teach, you choose to teach. You're not forced into it. And every day is the choice that you make to make a difference in the lives of students. And there's so many students that were in ag classes that were FFA members that will say, my ag teacher believed in me when no one else did. They pushed me farther than I thought that I had the skill set to go. I still stay in touch with my teacher. There's so many times where teachers get invited to go to weddings of their former students and so many other things because ag teachers make a difference. And so regardless of what you decide to do, I always want you to remember that it is a choice and not a chance of where we end up. And that as long as you keep that mindset, you'll be successful in anything you do. But if you decide to go into agricultural education, I certainly won't fault you for that either. So Ms. Godby, I'll let you take it from here.
Sounds good. Thanks so much. So I have the opportunity to kind of highlight the Family and Consumer Sciences program area. And I do want you to know that we have 325 Family and Consumer Science teachers across the state in 210 FCS programs. So we're almost in every corner of the state. And we are alive and well. There is a misconception that there's not a huge need for Family and Consumer Sciences, but I certainly beg to differ. And I think our numbers speak for themselves, that we're continuing to grow. And it is a very vital program in our middle school and high schools across the state. We are going to jump right in and we're going to play a little game here in just a second. If Brandon and I were in person with each of you, we would certainly be doing some type of activity. And so we thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to do something just to kind of break the ice with in between all of our information today. So there is going to be an extreme close-up of an image on your screen. And we invite you to use the chat feature or to shout it out in your classrooms to tell us what you think these items are. So Brandon, if you'll go ahead and click. All right, we're starting off pretty easy. What do y'all think this first image is? These are a member of the rose family, along with pears, peaches, plums, and cherries. And if you guessed apple, you are exactly right. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a root vegetable. It's very distinct in its color, which will probably give it away. And it's the favorite food of many cartoon rabbits. What do you think? All right, it is, in fact, a carrot. All right, let's do another one. This is a popular summer vegetable, often used in a salad. Oh, I see kiwi in that cucumber. All right, let's see what it is, Brandon. It is a cucumber. Good job, guys. All right, let's do one last one, and I think this one's the hardest. This is a macro image of the skin of a summer fruit that's often used to make jams, jellies, as well as in baking. Oh, I see the answer. And what is it, Brandon? It is, in fact, a raspberry. So thanks for playing along with us. Brandon, if you'll go ahead and put the next picture up on the screen, I want you to look at this image for just a second. Our game did focus on food and various nutritious options that we can enjoy, but family and consumer sciences is way more than food. We do teach about nutrition, healthy eating, and ways to prepare different types of food, but it's so much more than that. I want you to look at this image and I want you to think about your family for just a second. All of our families are unique, they're different. Some parts of our families are good and some parts are challenging. But regardless of our situations, we all recognize that the family unit plays an incredibly important role in the development of an individual. What I love most about family and consumer sciences is that we prepare students for careers that impact the family unit from every single angle. Think about the resources and services that families need and want. So Brandon, if you'll click for me. Teachers who are teaching family and consumer sciences, they have the opportunity to prepare students for careers in these 7 different areas: consumer and family services, culinary and food services, early childhood education, fashion and interior design, food science and dietetics, fundamentals of teaching, and hospitality, travel, tourism, and recreation. So if you choose to say yes to FCS, you will teach courses in these pathways, and you'll be teaching about budgeting, child and human development, travel and tourism, and the list goes on and on. You are preparing students to be social workers, dietitians, chefs, interior designers, or even a retail buyer. Students that are enrolled in a family and consumer sciences class, just like in agricultural education, get to experience work-based learning. They're real-world experiences where students have the opportunity to operate school-based enterprises. They run catering companies in their culinary pathways. They implement an early childhood education play school in their ECE career pathway where real toddlers and preschoolers come into their school for a real learning experience with the high school students. Those students develop every lesson and every activity for those young children. Students also have the opportunity to utilize industry machines to fulfill embroidery and screen printing orders. Students run the business from start to finish. They learn about marketing, product development, quality control, managing a budget, inventory, teamwork, packaging, and so much more. Another really cool part about being an FCS teacher is being able to send your students out into the workforce. That's where the rubber meets the road, where they get to learn from a skilled employer through apprenticeships, co-ops, internships, and job shadowing. You as the teacher would get to provide all of these opportunities to your students. On the next slide, you're going to see a list of industry certifications. Maybe you've earned some of these during your time in high school. These credentials help students to be job ready for entry-level positions and beyond. What an opportunity for teachers get to set their students apart for their future careers. And I want you to know that while classroom instruction, industry certification, and work-based learning is all vital, it's all incredibly important for student success. To me, where we really get to experience all of the things that we've learned is through our student organization called FCCLA. FCCLA stands for Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. It is a student-led, family-focused organization where students experience leadership development through community service, various projects, career preparation, public speaking, traveling opportunities, and networking. Students get to participate in competitive events, and they make a difference in their families, schools, and communities. You can see on the screen here, we've got students competing in our Knowledge Bowl competition, students competing in STAR events. The student has prepared some design boards. She's ready to present her ideas to a client. It's real world experiences for our students. And it's just a really neat opportunity for FCS students to apply what they've learned in the classroom. I do want to take the opportunity to intentionally invite you to say yes to FCS. We need you. We have a teacher shortage every single summer, and we have to fill positions with emergency certified teachers. And so there is a need for you. We need you. We want you. And I invite you to use your phones to capture that QR code so that you can watch that video after our presentation today to learn a little bit more about family and consumer sciences education and what it's like in a day-to-day role as an FCS teacher. If you do decide to say yes to FCS, you have the opportunity this spring in March of 2022 to be recognized at our Kentucky FCCLA State Leadership Conference. We host an annual pinning and signing ceremony where we bring you in and your families are invited to be a part of this special ceremony. We bring you up on stage and we welcome you officially to the Kentucky FCS family. And that's really what we are. As cheesy as that sounds, it's really a really neat profession. It's hard work. But we need you and we want you. And so if you're interested in some of the things that we've talked about today, I encourage you to say yes to FCS. And the way that you do that is by going to one of these 3 universities that you're going to see on your screen. WKU, EKU, and Murray State, all 3 offer the Family and Consumer Sciences Education major. And so I encourage you to check all of those out and see which is the best fit for you as you go on your FCS journey. Regardless of whether you choose family and consumer sciences education or agricultural education or any area of CTE, on the screen, you're going to see some tips for you. We want you to talk to your CTE teachers. Explore these post-secondary institution websites that Brandon and I have mentioned today. Schedule a college visit. But I think the most important thing that you can do, in addition to talking to your CTE teacher, is to observe your teacher in action. If you're a senior, use the next few months to check out what they're doing. Ask them lots of questions. They're the best example for you to learn what it's like in the day of the life of a CTE teacher.
All right. Well, as we kind of wrap up the formal portion of this, there's a quote, and I've seen it attributed to different people. So I'm just going to say I'm not the one that came up with it, and then whoever did, then so be it. But it's that you can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you cannot count the number of apples in a seed. And that's very appropriate when you think about education, is that the impact that one teacher makes, it's really impossible to quantify, because for those students that are in their classroom, they can impact lives that will change a student's lives and maybe what they want to do for a career, whether they drop out or stay in school, a host of things. And then that person, by making changes or choosing certain directions in their lives, impacts other lives. So teachers have this infinite impact. And so as we've been kind of using this apple analogy as we've gone through, really want to hope that you'll really consider the wonderful world that is education, career and technical education, regardless of which program area it is, because you get to see those students from start to finish, that you really get to spend time with them, see them develop, and then watch what happens after they leave high school and get the careers that they pursue, the lives that they are able to lead. So it's very important, when we talk about this, that we know that we need a certain number of teachers. We know what our shortages are. We know all of these things. Those are very specific numbers. What we never know is that impact that every teacher makes. But for Ms. Godby and myself, we both know that they make a huge impact, because for both of us, as we've said, we were both, she was in FCCLA, I was in FFA. That set a course for us when we were in high school to open our eyes to possibilities of careers. And then we found that we were passionate about education and wanting to give that back, and started teaching and then started to work here in the Department of Education to support the work of other teachers. So it's very, we truly, as we've said over and over again, the need is there for sure. And we definitely hope that you'll consider it, because we need high quality people that are motivated and passionate and love to help others to enter the field of education sooner than later. So that concludes the formal presentation part of this, but I will definitely, if there's any questions or anything else that we may want to touch on, we'll be glad to do that.
Yeah, actually, Brandon, real quick, there's one that came up in the chat asking if you all wouldn't mind sharing your QR code real quick again.
Of course.
And then while y'all are pulling that up, I do have two quick questions I'm going to ask. If anyone else has any questions they'd like to ask Brandon and Kayla, please feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat, and we will ask them our questions. And then we will hear from KCTCS before we wrap up today. And there's that QR code there. So first question I have for you all, again, thank you all for a great presentation, definitely inspiring and learning about how we can impact students all throughout and how students can find a career that is something that's going to be impactful for them. So the question I had for you guys is, what has been the most defining part of your career that you would say has just been your favorite part on why you continue to be a teacher in the education industry?
Go ahead, Ms. Godby, I'll let you jump first.
Sure. When I really think about the impact that my teachers made on me, I was very quiet, very timid, very shy when I was a freshman in high school. And FCCLA became a platform for me. It became an opportunity for me to really brush up my leadership skills. And once I got a taste of how good Family and Consumer Sciences was, I couldn't walk away from it. And so I was going to be an elementary teacher. And while I know I would have loved that, Family and Consumer Sciences was really the opportunity and the pathway for me. And as I have grown in my career and in my profession, there is just this leader in me that I cannot let go of. And so it's just a real treat for me to be able to help lead Family and Consumer Sciences in Kentucky. I know how hard and how good it is to be a teacher. And so I want to be able to support and encourage teachers across the state and provide opportunities for our students. And so it's so important for me to help connect with business and industry partners so that we can continue to offer opportunities for our students across the state. They deserve it. They are our future. And it's just a real blessing for me to be able to do that.
For sure. And I have some similar feelings as what Ms. Godby said. For me, I grew up in agriculture, but when I started teaching, I went to John Hardin High School to teach, which is not a rural area by any stretch of the imagination. But the fact is that every person consumes food and wears clothing that come from agriculture products. And that for me, it's important that every person be an informed consumer, to know where their food comes from and to understand that and to be able to make wise choices. And that's where Family Consumer Sciences education and agriculture education share a lot of that commonality. But also for me was when I was teaching, I had students that were struggling with things in their home lives personally that really went beyond even what I could have fathomed when I was that age. And just the opportunity to watch those students walk across stage at graduation and know that I had a small hand in keeping them there. Because for some students, they said, if it wasn't for your class, and this isn't a brag on me, but it's career and tech education as a whole, they say, if it wasn't for you, like, I wouldn't even come to school. If it wasn't for your class, I guess I should say, to watch those students walk across the stage. And for me being in this role now, it's trying to remove any barriers that exist that would keep a student from either wanting to enroll in agricultural education or to want to stay in school or to want to pursue all the way through. removing those barriers, making sure that teachers have the resources that they need to be able to support those students, to make sure that a student says, well, I can't do that or this because I don't have the financial means, I'm not smart enough, good enough, really wanting to build that inclusive world in agricultural education because everyone can benefit from it, and we want everyone to feel welcome in it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And to wrap us out today, I think I wanted to really highlight the fact that in both the way you answered that question and how you all presented the information today, you can clearly see that you all have found your passion and what means something to you in your career. So with over 600 high school students listening in today, what is the biggest piece of advice you can give them on how to explore their career journey and what they want to do after they graduate?
I have two things. The first thing is proper planning prevents poor performance. So start making plans, and it's okay to check things out and to see if they're good for you or not. It's okay if they're not. And now is the real opportunity for you to explore all these options that you have. And then the last thing that I would say is what you put into something is what you get out of it. So just like if I put a little bit of money into my savings account, I'm probably not going to reap a lot of reward down the road. And so I think that that's important. Once you kind of figure out what it is that you're interested in and that you want to do, dive in and experience all pieces of it. And I think that's something that both Brandon and I have done. We've both been involved in our professional organizations. We provided all these different opportunities for our students when we were in the classroom teaching. And I just think that's really important. There certainly has to be a balance in order to have that healthy work and family balance. However, give it all you've got and dive in and learn as much as you can, learn from people around you, and remember what you put into it is what you get out of it.
And I would also add to that is that it's your career, it's your future. Don't let anyone else tell you what you should do or shouldn't do. Now, people can give you advice about their experience, kind of like what we've done today, but ultimately it's your call. And you're going to be spending a long time in this career. Don't do something that that doesn't make you want to jump out of bed every morning because you get to do that work. If it's something that you hate doing, and there's a number of you probably that have part-time jobs that you're just kind of doing it because you need some money to pay for the vehicle just to get by, whatever it may be, I get that. But when you talk about a career, do what it takes to find a career you love. Make sure you know that you love it, that you understand what it is, and then do that kind of work. Don't worry about the money per se. Like just because someone makes a lot of money doesn't make them happy. The work makes you happy. Like you have to find like satisfaction in the work, like that I know that I'm doing good work, that I'm happy with it, and that you'll find ways like to be happy with that is simply enough. So don't be afraid to take the risk, whether it means that you can, completing a certificate right after you graduate high school, or if that's going all the way through medical school. This isn't a who's better or worse than someone else. It's do something you're passionate about. And I know too many people in the world that just despise their job, that they just do it because they feel like they have to. And don't be that person. If you know passionate people, and I'll guarantee, just think about teachers. You know teachers right now that are passionate and love what they do because you see that in how they teach and how they interact. You also know teachers that are at the other end of the spectrum, and that's a different experience. And you don't want to be in that kind of world. So be passionate, find something you love, and I'll be honest, if it means that you've got to go to another state to get a degree in that thing then go. Like, we'll be fine here. We'll be fine and get there. We'll hold it down while you get that experience. If you want to come back later, just follow that. Like, understand what your opportunities are and go for them for sure.
That's fantastic advice. And I, again, want to thank both of you all for joining our presentation today and giving such great, valuable information to the students out there across the state. So thank you guys again. We will now be hearing from KCTCS with information about financial aid offerings available to you. For all of the high school students we have tuning in today, I know that scholarship deadlines are coming up for college applications. And so this will be great information for you all to learn how you can receive financial aid. So Doug, I will go ahead and kick it on over to you.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
We can. We cannot see you though.
All right. I'm going to pop right into the presentation. And we'll start a slideshow. And can everyone see the presentation?
Yep, we can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. So my name is Doug Cleary. I'm Assistant Vice President for Student Financial Aid here at the Kentucky Community and Technical College System. And I only have a few minutes here. This is a very broad, in-depth topic area, and we could certainly spend an hour or more on this topic. So this is really just a very high-level review of financial aid. I'm going to talk about really what is available and how you go about applying for it with financial aid. But before I really kind of get into it, it'd be worth noting too as to what the different sources of financial aid are that students ought to consider when looking to college. First and foremost is the federal government. U.S. Department of Education is the largest provider of federal student financial aid to the tunes of billions of dollars each year. And so that is the first source that students are going to be applying for. Secondly is the state. Our state government provides a significant amount, millions of dollars of financial aid to students each year. Thirdly, the institution itself may offer various scholarships. In most cases, all institutions provide some form of financial aid to the students for various reasons, whether it's based on financial need or other academic merit-based scholarships or something of that nature. And lastly, there are also external third-party sources, whether they might be civic organizations, scholarship foundations, or even businesses. Walmart provides scholarships for students. Civic groups such as maybe Kiwanis Lions Club and the women's clubs, those kinds of things generally all provide scholarships for local students. So as you are considering college and exploring sources of financial aid, how to pay for college, keep all those in mind and explore those options. So what we'll do is we're going to talk about what is available. And so as I stated, the federal financial aid is the largest provider of student financial aid. And at the core of that is the federal Pell Grant program. So the maximum annually that a student can receive for this current year is $6,495. There is a chance that that could move up next year for the 22-23 academic year, but right now it's set at $6,495. It is based on financial need. And we'll talk a little bit more about what the financial need means when we talk about how to apply for financial aid. So when you see the financial need, that also means that not every student is going to qualify or is going to receive a federal Pell Grant. Another large source that the federal government does provide for students is the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, which is a mouthful. We just shorten it to SEOG. And based on the amount that an institution may have, they can award up to $4,000. And it is also based on Pell Grant eligibility. And so if a student qualifies for the Pell Grant, there's a high likelihood that they might also receive the SEOG funds as well. And like I stated, it's also based on financial need. Another source of financial aid that maybe we don't normally think of is a part-time job. And the federal government does provide funds to institutions for what's known as the Federal College Work-Study program. Generally, it is a part-time job, and generally it's on campus. And again, you have to demonstrate some level of financial need to qualify for those funds. Some jobs can be off campus. Many times institutions will establish particular agreements with off-campus employers. And then what they try to do is match the student's program of study with the employer so that that there is a correlation between the job and what they're studying. But I'll say generally those jobs, you're going to find those on the campus itself. And lastly, in this, I would also recommend that loans should always be your last resort. Do anything you can not to get a loan. However, you should understand that loans are available to students. And so what I have here is for the first year undergraduate student can receive up to $3,500. A second year undergraduate can receive up to $4,500. And of course, this is written as though from a community college perspective, so we only have a 2-year program, but you can get up to $5,500 annually for your for your 3rd and 4th year year in school. So, and there's additional loan funds that can be tacked onto that as well. But like I said, always make sure that loans are the last resort option, because no one wants to see happen is that you get saddled down with loans. It is an investment in your future. It is a resource that you can use, but use it wisely. Another source of financial aid, obviously, is our own state government. And most of these programs are administered through the Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority, better known as KEA. And for more information on that, you can always reach out to kia.com. But one source is, as you guys are listening, hopefully you're aware that you've already been earning scholarship probably in some form or fashion through the KEYS Scholarship, which stands for the Kentucky Educational Excellence Scholarship. And you can receive a maximum award up to $2,000 annually for college. It is based on your high school GPA and ACT score. And of course, these funds only go to Kentucky residents who graduated from a Kentucky high school and certainly attending a Kentucky college or university. And as I mentioned earlier, it is administered through KEA. So for more information on that, always talk to your high school guidance counselor or reach out to kia@kia.com. Another source that KEA does provide, or that our state does provide, is the College Access Program, better known as the CAP program. You can receive up to $2,000 per year at 2-year institutions. And if you're at a 4-year institution and you qualify, that could be up to $2,900 per year. Again, you have to be a Kentucky resident. And this program, as many of the federal programs I mentioned, this is also based on financial need. And the last program I'll mention here for the state is the Work Ready Kentucky Scholarship. You can see the qualifiers there: U.S. citizen, Kentucky resident. This is a relatively newer scholarship, been around for the last 4, maybe 5 years, 4 years for sure. And it is for study in designated high demand workforce sectors. And right now, those 5 sectors are advanced manufacturing, transportation, logistics, business services, information technology, healthcare, and construction. Those 5 areas are designated because the people that look at this determine that we are woefully behind, and there's a great need for people in these workers in this area. And so this is considered a last dollar in program. It is not based on financial aid. I'm sorry, it's not based on financial need. So if you didn't qualify for any financial aid and you're in one of these programs, you could receive these scholarships. But if you qualify for any of the other programs that maybe I mentioned, what they would do is whatever it doesn't cover up to the amount of tuition and certain fees, it will make up the difference. So the bottom line is you at least get your tuition covered through the Work Ready Kentucky Scholarship Program. So how do we apply for financial aid? And I'm sure you all probably already heard this quite a bit as you've started your school year, if you haven't heard it before, but it is using the free application for federal student aid, better known as the FAFSA. This is, again, the federal application. And there's a number of ways that you can complete this. FAFSA on the web is the most popular option, and it is the option that I would certainly recommend to everyone, and we'll talk about why in just a second. But they've recently developed a MyFAFSA via student aid mobile app. So you could do it on your phone, although I will admit to you, that does make me a little nervous because you might be putting a lot of personal information and financial information over a phone app. And but you know, they have the appropriate security behind that. And then there's also the paper application that someone could complete FAFSA on the phone, or in some cases, an institution could even submit the information for you. But the FAFSA on the web is what I would recommend to you as the option. And the reason I would recommend that is because there's built-in edits that prevent errors. All right, so there's skip logic that allows students and or the parent to skip unnecessary questions. So if you answer a question in a certain way, it determines that you don't need to complete the next 4 or 5 questions or the next section of the application. So also, and again, this is something that I would highly recommend to all students. You would have the option to use the IRS data retrieval tool, which means you're saying, hey, I want to give the IRS the permission to pull my parents and or my financial information and apply that to the application. Again, this reduces errors. A lot of times people not familiar with tax returns, they'll pick up information from the wrong line item and put that in the FAFSA form, and it just causes delays and so forth. And so again, using the data retrieval tool is a great thing to use here. And I, again, highly recommend that. And there's also more detailed instructions for common questions. And there's also the ability to check application status online. So what the free application, or what the FAFSA does, is that it does collect demographic and financial information. So for you that are applying for financial aid for the next academic year, being the 22-23 academic year, that is going to be based on yours and your parents' income tax year based on the 2020. And so, so you'll need to have that information available when you complete, unless you're going to use the data retrieval tool, but it would be based on the 2020 tax year. And what the FAFSA does is that it determines what's known as an expected family contribution, and that basically, simply put, is that portion of yours and your family's income and assets that, based on this federal formula, that you and your family should be able to absorb or pay in the way of educational cost. And so the institution will take that data and then we'll craft an award package for you based on, again, your eligibility for the various programs. It is available in English and Spanish, and it is open to apply. For next year, the FAFSA is eligible. You're eligible to apply, and it opened on October 1st, and it opens October 1st each and every year for the following year. And again, a reminder is that you do have to apply or reapply for financial aid each year you attend college. We also have a short video that we're going to show that will talk about some of this, but a couple other things that I do want to point out that are not a part of this presentation is, and you'll hear this as you enter college, you may hear the term satisfactory academic progress. The bottom line is that you do have to maintain certain GPA, and you have to pass your classes in order to maintain your eligibility for financial aid. And so the bottom line, basically, if you maintain at least a 2.0 GPA and you are passing the vast majority of your classes, you're not going to have any problems qualifying for financial aid each and every year. But you could hear that as you enter college. And so it's something to kind of be aware of, that you have to do your part, pass your classes, go to your classes, and pass those classes. So that is the end of the presentation. And Zach, if you want to go ahead and kick off the video.
Yep. Harper, if you want to go ahead and share your screen there.
Yes, I will. Thanks. 1 second, technical difficulties.
You're thinking about college. That's awesome. Have you thought about your community college? It can be a really smart choice for lots of reasons, like flexibility, being close to home, getting individual support, and something that's important to almost everybody, affordability. Did you know that your community college is part of the Kentucky Community and Technical College System? Okay, let's just say KCTCS, and that we have the lowest tuition rates in the state. 2 years at a KCTCS college costs less than half that of 2 years at a 4-year college. You can start here, get the basics under your belt, then transfer to a 4-year college and still save more than $22,000. Or you can complete a 2-year degree at KCTCS that can lead directly to a great career, some with starting salaries of $40,000 or more. Let me go to a question called in by a prospective student just like you.
This sounds great, but I'll still need financial aid. How do I get started with that?
Excellent question. I'll break it down. The first step is filling out the FAFSA form. That's FAFSA. It's required if you want to get financial aid from the federal and state government. You need to do this, whether you're just graduating from high school or you've been out for a long time. Even if you think you have too much income or your family structure is confusing. I know, it's kind of a bear. Shoo shoo. But it's the main way to determine what aid is available to you. The second step is to see what scholarships you could be eligible for, like a KEY scholarship. That's money you may have already earned in high school. Our college offers scholarships too. You can apply for them online. Or based on your family's income, you might qualify for a Pell Grant. And none of these have to be paid back. Finally, you can get a loan to help cover other expenses. If you do need a loan at KCTCS, it'll be a lot less than what a 4-year college student might need. In fact, many of our students don't need one at all, so they graduate debt-free. Debt-free. Here's another good question.
All of this financial aid stuff seems so overwhelming. Do you guys have anybody who can help me get through it?
Definitely. We have a whole department of people ready to help you and who can find as many financial aid opportunities as possible. There's also some good consumer information on our website. So never let anything get in the way of your success and never underestimate you.
That's a great video from KCTCS. Thank you to Doug and the KCTCS team for sharing that. My name is Harper Smith. I help direct the Best of Business program, and I'm here to wrap up today's session. So as Zach mentioned earlier, the December contests are now open as it is December 1st. So we really hope that you all will participate in those different, whether what grade level you all are. This is the page for the elementary school coloring book. So please encourage anyone you all know, or if you're in elementary school, please color that in and send it over to us. We'd love seeing those, and you can win great prizes. So please participate in those. And you can learn more about the contest rules and how to submit your entries at our website, kychamber.com/bestofbusiness. And lastly, we want to thank you all again for tuning in with us today. We had a really great session from the CTE folks at KDE and our KCTCS financial aid money moment. But we do hope that you all will join us for our other sessions this month. Next week, December 8th, we'll be hearing from the KCTCS again, but they're going to be doing the entire session with us. And then on December 15th, we'll be hearing from the KDE's Educators Rising Kentucky program. And we have a special guest from a principal talking about her career pathway, how she became a principal of a high school. And she is a part of our Leadership Institute for School Principals program. So please register at the links in our weekly e-newsletter if you are receiving that. And then also you can find the links at our website, kychamber.com/bestofbusiness. Thanks again, and I hope you all have a great day.